Where does Mingoose Mouse live? In a house. Mingoose Mouse. And the portal Nibbler. It was the morning after the Pink Witch's missing wand mayhem, and at last everything seemed peaceful again. The sun came softly through the trees, the flowers in the forest swayed gently in the breeze, and the blue portal tree glowed quietly in the woods, as if nothing strange had ever happened there at all. Mr. Lindwood was sitting nearby in his chair with his newspaper open neatly in front of him. He had one leg crossed over the other, his walking stick leaning close by, and he was enjoying what he hoped would be a calm and sensible morning. Up above him, on a branch of the tree, sat Snark Claw, the thin dark bird with the cross little eyes and the scruffy feathers, peering down at everything in a suspicious sort of way. "Too quiet," muttered Snark Claw. "I don't trust quiet. Quiet means something's thinking." Mr. Lindwood lowered his newspaper just a little. "Not everything needs distrusting, Snark Claw," he said calmly. Snark Claw ruffled his feathers. "That portal looks funny." Mr. Lindwood looked at the glowing blue opening in the great tree trunk. "It looks perfectly normal to me." Snark Claw narrowed his beady eyes. "That's because you're reading the paper instead of looking properly." Just then, the portal made a strange little wobble. It did not hum in its usual gentle way. It did not shimmer smoothly. Instead, it made a curious little sound. Bloop. Mr. Lindwood lowered the newspaper fully now. Snark Claw gave a sharp hop along the branch. The portal wobbled again. Bloop. Burp. Snark Claw flapped once in alarm. "There, I said so. Nobody ever listens to the bird." Mr. Lindwood stood up more slowly, picked up his walking stick, and peered towards the glowing opening. Then, with a soft plop, something tiny rolled right out of the portal and onto the mossy ground below. It was round and fluffy and blue, no bigger than a tea cake. It had tiny feet, great blinking eyes, long twitchy ears, and sticky little paws. It rolled once, sat up, and gave the smallest little squeak. Snark Claw stared at it. Mr. Lindwood stared at it. The tiny creature sniffed the air once, twice, then sat very still with its nose wiggling fast. "Well," said Mr. Lindwood, "that is unexpected." "It's a portal thing," said Snark Claw. "A suspicious, wobbly, sniffing portal thing." The little creature sniffed again and suddenly darted forward toward the ground near the roots of the tree. It picked up a crumb, gobbled it in one snap, and grew slightly bigger. Both Mr. Lindwood and Snark Claw blinked. "Did it just grow?" asked Mr. Lindwood. "Yes," said Snark Claw, "and I would like it known that I do not approve." At that very moment, through the woods came a familiar, cheerful voice. "Emergency biscuits! Emergency biscuits!" Semolina Pilchard came bustling down the path carrying a little basket, wearing his fez and his dark sunglasses, as pleased with himself as ever. Behind him came Mingoose Mouse with her soft pink bow and fluffy collar, Puffed Chicken in her glittering gold dress and sparkling jewels, and Rarrous Bear, padding along gently behind them. They had all decided to visit the Portal Woods that morning because everything had been so noisy and exciting the day before that a gentle woodland walk seemed like a very good idea. "Ah," said Snark Claw darkly from the branch above, "here comes the trouble in a fez." "I heard that," said Semolina cheerfully, "and for the record, I brought snacks." Mingoose Mouse smiled kindly at Mr. Lindwood. "Good morning, Mr. Lindwood." Bear gave a friendly nod. Puffed Chicken adjusted her bracelets and looked around. "What is going on? Why is Snark Claw looking like an old sock full of annoyance?" "Portal trouble," said Snark Claw. "Biscuit danger. Pilchard probably involved." "I haven't even done anything yet," said Semolina. Mr. Lindwood pointed with his newspaper toward the tiny blue creature by the roots. Everyone looked. The little fluffy thing was now nibbling another crumb. As it swallowed, it grew to the size of a cushion. Puffed Chicken gasped. "Oh," Bear blinked. "That is quite quick." Mingoose Mouse stepped carefully forward and crouched down to look at it. "Hello there," she said softly. The creature looked at her with enormous blinking eyes and gave a tiny sticky squeak. Then it sniffed Semolina's basket. Semolina smiled proudly. "I think it likes me." "It likes the biscuits," said Snark Claw. "There is a difference." But before anyone could stop it, one little biscuit crumb fell from Semolina's basket onto the ground. The creature pounced on it at once, gobbled it, and instantly grew again, this time to the size of a footstool. Its fluffy blue fur rippled, its ears twitched, and its sticky paws clapped together happily. "Oh dear," said Mr. Lindwood. Mingoose Mouse nodded thoughtfully. "I think this must be a portal nibbler." "A what?" asked Puff Chicken. "A portal nibbler," said Mingoose Mouse, "a little creature that nibbles crumbs and magical bits and grows bigger as it eats." Semolina clutched his biscuit basket. "That sounds rather like a relative." The portal nibbler suddenly sprang toward a sparkly fallen leaf near the tree. It nibbled the glow right off it. Then it darted toward Snark Claw's branch and snapped at one of his dark, shiny feathers. "Oi!" shouted Snark Claw, fluttering up. "That is my feather. There is only one Snark Claw in this tree." The nibbler sneezed, and a black feather stuck to its head. Then it waddled to Puff Chicken and nibbled the sparkle off one of her bracelets. Puff Chicken squealed and puffed up. "It has taken my shine." The creature bounced toward Mr. Lindwood and nibbled the corner right off his newspaper. Mr. Lindwood stared at the missing edge. "Really," he said, "that is unnecessary." Then it turned toward Bear, who was holding a honey sandwich. Bear looked at it kindly. "You're not having this one," he said gently. Semolina pointed helpfully. "That sandwich does look quite magical." The portal nibbler's eyes went wide. In one gulp, it swallowed Bear's honey sandwich whole. Bear froze. The forest seemed to freeze with him. He looked down at his empty paw. Then he said very quietly, "That was my sandwich." The portal nibbler grew again. Now it was as big as a chair, then a barrel, then almost as large as a pony. Jam dribbled on its chin from crumbs it had found. Snark Claw's feather wobbled on its head. Puff Chicken's sparkle bracelet hung on one sticky arm. Semolina's basket was nearly upside down from all the crumbs it had pulled from it. "This," said Puff Chicken, now still slightly puffed, "is exactly the sort of thing I did not put on my schedule." "Nobody panic near the portal," said Mr. Lindwood firmly, tapping his walking stick on the ground. But the portal nibbler had begun to waddle away from the tree. It sniffed once more and turned its great blinking eyes toward the path that led back to Mingoose Mouse's house. "Oh no," said Mingoose Mouse softly. "It smells more crumbs." "And jam," said Semolina. "And honey," added Bear sadly. Snark Claw flapped down lower. "If that thing gets into Mouse's house, there won't be a biscuit left in the county." The portal nibbler began wobbling along the path, bigger and bigger with every stray magical crumb it found. Bear stepped in front of it and planted both paws firmly on the ground. He took a deep breath and gave one great, steady, protective roar. "Rare!" The portal nibbler stopped and blinked. It was not frightened exactly, but it paused, wobbling gently in place. Mingoose Mouse looked quickly at the others. "It isn't bad," she said. "It's lost. It came through the portal because it smelled magical crumbs from all the wand trouble yesterday. It needs to go back before it gets too big and gets frightened here." Mr. Lindwood nodded. "Sensible." Snark Claw gave a grumpy hop. "Then do something sensible quickly." Mingoose Mouse stood up and made a plan. "Semolina, you must make a biscuit trail back to the portal." Semolina puffed out his chest proudly. "At last, my skills are recognized." "Snark Claw," said Mingoose Mouse, "you fly above and guide us from the branch tops." Snark Claw lifted his head. "Obviously, the aerial department d'asynesthésiage. Tea is mine." "Puff Chicken," said Mingoose Mouse. "You stay on the side path, and if it wanders, you puff up and block the way." Puff Chicken nodded seriously. "I can do dramatic and useful." "Bear," said Mingoose Mouse. "You stay near the front and give your steady roar if it gets too close to the house path again." Bear smiled gently. "I can do that." "Mr. Lindwood," said Mouse, "please guard the portal and keep the way clear." Mr. Lindwood lifted his walking stick. "Very good." And so they began. Semolina placed one biscuit crumb on the path. The portal nibbler sniffed, waddled, and gobbled it up. Then another crumb. Another step. Another crumb. Another happy nibble. Snark Claw flew overhead calling, "This way, you waddling pudding! Left a bit! No, your other left!" Puff Chicken kept puffing herself round whenever the creature drifted off the path, gently steering it back. Bear padded beside it steadily, calm but watchful. Mr. Lindwood stood by the glowing blue portal tree, newspaper folded under one arm and walking stick in the other, waiting. At last they reached the roots of the great tree again. The portal glowed and shimmered softly. Semolina took one final crumb from his basket and placed it just before the opening. The portal nibbler waddled forward, sniffed, and then sat down with a plop. It crossed its sticky little arms. It refused to move. "Oh dear," said Bear. "It doesn't want to go." "It is being awkward," muttered Snark Claw. "I respect that. But it still has to leave." Mingoose Mouse stepped gently closer and knelt in front of the creature. "You could not stay here," she said softly. "If you grow too big in our world, you will be frightened, and we will be frightened too. You have to go home." The portal nibbler looked at her sadly and gave a tiny, unhappy squeak. Semolina reached into the very bottom of his basket. "I have one last biscuit," he whispered. Everyone looked. It was the best biscuit of all, golden and round and with the faintest pink sparkle still clinging to it from the witch's wand mayhem the day before. The portal nibbler's eyes grew wide. Semolina looked heartbroken. "My finest biscuit," he said. Then, bravely, he placed it just inside the portal. The portal nibbler stared, sniffed, then stood up. It waddled toward the glowing opening, paused once, looked back at the group, and gave one grateful little squeak. Then it rolled through the blue light after the biscuit. As it vanished, it gave the biggest sneeze of all. Out flew Snark Claw's feather, Puff Chicken's bracelet, the missing corner of Mr. Lindwood's newspaper, Semolina's missing fez tassel, and Bear's honey sandwich. The sandwich flew through the air in a perfect little arc and landed neatly back in Bear's paws. Bear looked so relieved, he nearly sat down on the spot. "Thank you," he said warmly. The portal shimmered once, twice, then settled back into its usual calm blue glow. The woods fell quiet. Snark Claw landed back on his branch and fluffed himself up. "Well," he said importantly, "my flying saved everyone." Puff Chicken adjusted her bracelet and said, "You mostly shouted." Mr. Lindwood unfolded his repaired newspaper and nodded. "Useful shouting is still shouting." Semolina looked into his empty basket and sighed. "I shall miss that biscuit." Bear took a careful bite of his returned honey sandwich. It was worth it. Mingoose Mouse smiled at them all and said, "House rule number 1, no drama. We go steady." Then, from deep inside the portal, there came one very tiny sound. Bloop. Everyone froze. Snark Claw narrowed his eyes. Semolina quietly closed his empty biscuit basket. Mr. Lindwood lowered his newspaper once again. And Mingoose Mouse looked up at the glowing blue portal tree and smiled in that calm, steady way of hers. Because in the woods near the sea, with the mountain watching from far away, there was always room for one more very strange adventure.